This is disrespectful. Draymond Green has spoken out about the New York Knicks on his show and thinks after 4 games of this season, he already knows how the New York Knicks season is going to end, and we need to break it all down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Knicks Basketball 365. If you're a New York Knicks fan, hit that subscribe button. But getting into the news today from Bleacher Report, on the latest episode of the Draymond Green show, Green said he doesn't view the Knicks as finals contenders because they don't have what it takes to win at the highest level when he watches them play. Green did elaborate on his stance about the Knicks, saying he believes you can stifle their offense to make it hard for them to score, and they have a couple of key guys who don't really want to defend who are on the floor a lot in games. Green's assessment about weak points for the Knicks has shown up in their recent playoff losses and so far this season. The Knicks had a 117.8 defensive rating in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Indiana Pacers, which was more than 3 points higher than their rating in the regular season, which was only 114.3. So the Draymond Green, definitely knows a lot about basketball, still currently playing for the Golden State Warriors, but he has his podcasts and stuff going on the side. This was from the Draymond Green show where he speaks his mind. He doesn't usually go out to try to actively disrespect teams or try to, exaggerate any points, but this point just really does not seem correct against the New York Knicks because I do respect the heck out of Draymond Green as a basketball mind, as an NBA and basketball Hall of Famer. He certainly knows more about basketball than I do. But, if he already knows how the season is going to end for the New York Knicks after only 4 games, that is really, really, really darn impressive. Now, let's talk about what he actually said. Starting off with, there are some key guys on the floor who don't want to defend. Talking about Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns as 2 star players for the New York Knicks. It's no secret that Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns are both offensively driven players. They're both guys that are going to score a lot of points but then struggle on defense. Jalen Brunson, his specialty is the ISO ball, especially with that floater. He's got probably the best footwork in the entire NBA and is, super, super, super clutch, winning the NBA's Clutch Player of the Year award in 2024. But on the other end, starting at the 4 or the 5, depending on whether or not Mitchell Robinson is healthy and what Mike Brown wants to do with the starting lineup that night, Karl-Anthony Towns is also a player who is offensively driven and greatly struggles on the defensive side. Karl-Anthony Towns may be the greatest shooting big man in the history of the NBA, but Draymond Green is correct when he says he doesn't really want to play defense. We heard about last year how there were players in the Knicks locker room who were unhappy with Karl-Anthony Towns' communication and overall effort level on the defensive side of the floor. This is something that has been talked about over and over and over again, was a huge point of why many people didn't want to trade for Karl-Anthony Towns before the trade between Randle and Towns actually went down, because you can ask people to give more effort on the floor, but if you're a bad defender, you're just a bad defender. You can't ask a bad defender to be a good defender. And at this stage in his career, we know Karl-Anthony Towns is a bad defender. He knows that he is going to, he's going to pick up a lot of fouls because that's one of the other struggles he has. But what is going on with this team? So Draymond Green, he's correct. When he says there are some guys on the floor who don't really want to play defense, he's right. But the other guys really want to play defense. If we have Cat at the 4 and Jalen Brunson at the 1, the 2, we have Mikal Bridges, who has finished in the top 5 in defensive player of the year voting. Then we have at the 3, OG Anunoby, an elite defender who reminds me of a baby Kawhi Leonard. OG's such a tremendous defender. Those 2 guys make up for the lack of defense from our point guard, Jalen Brunson. And then on the back end, at the 5, if Mitchell Robinson is healthy, we have one of the best defensive big men in the entire National Basketball Association. So we do have guys who are very, very good at defense to offset the players that are not so good at defense. So Draymond Green, he's not wrong when he says this, but I do think saying they're, because they have these guys on defense that aren't good defenders because they're on the court, that doesn't make them not finals contenders. We saw with Tom Thibodeau in the playoffs, we lost to the Pacers, but the defense wasn't the reason why we lost those games. We didn't lose because Jalen Brunson couldn't defend or Karl-Anthony Towns defended. Tom Thibodeau was able to scheme up defensive tactics that put he kind of hid those 2 players defensively and were able to give us advantages in other ways other than just those guys being really, really poor defensively. But newly, Mike Brown has a new offensive system with the New York Knicks. Tom Thibodeau was all about valuing possessions and lowering the amount of possessions per basketball game and running offense really, really slow. Under Tom Thibodeau, the Knicks were always at the bottom of the league in pace. Now, Mike Brown comes in with a completely new offensive game plan. He wants to push the pace, push the pace, push the pace. He wants to crash. He wants guys taking the basketball to the paint, not with the intention of scoring layups, but with the intention of kicking it out for threes. And there's a whole lot of off-ball movement and off-ball picking to get guys open threes. It's about running and shooting threes in Mike Brown's offense. That's never what this offense was under Tom Thibodeau. So the reason why right now you can stop the Knicks offense is because the Knicks players aren't fully aware of how to run it yet. If you're watching this, it's obvious that, and people are saying, and they're correct to say, that Mike Brown is not bringing out the plays for the New York Knicks yet because he wants the players to understand the basics of his system before he actually starts calling plays. Now, I think that's a little bit ridiculous because at the end of both of the Knicks losses, Game 3 versus the Heat, and then 2 nights ago against the Milwaukee Bucks, at the end of the game, 1 or 2 plays called by Mike Brown maybe could have gotten the Knicks back on track offensively, and we could have gotten right back in those basketball games. Unfortunately, that's not what Mike Brown decided to do. He didn't call enough plays, and the scoring absolutely stopped, and that's part of one of the biggest reasons why we were losing those games. But the offense is going to get a whole lot better. Mike Brown has put out some fantastic offenses as a head coach. The New York Knicks players just don't understand how to run the offense yet. That's why the offense doesn't look so good yet. Also, players are just flat out missing open threes. Over the last 2 games, Karl-Anthony Towns has not been shooting well. The bench has not been shooting well. Guys just haven't been shooting well. It's the beginning of the season. Guys are still getting into a rhythm. And one more reason why the New York Knicks are not looking like finals contenders, but it doesn't mean that they are not going to be finals contenders, is because of the injuries. Deuce McBride's on the screen right now. I know he missed Game 4 due to a personal reason, not an injury, and he's coming back for tomorrow night's game against the Chicago Bulls. But Karl-Anthony Towns working through an injury. Josh Hart missed Game 1 with lower back spasms. He's working through an injury. Mitchell Robinson not even playing with a left ankle injury. These are guys that are core rotational pieces of the New York Knicks rotation. These guys are extremely, extremely important players to the New York Knicks basketball team, and especially when you have a new head coach, you want to have the same players there every single day so you can understand what everyone's role is and how people work with each other. When someone is injured, you just have to guess how everyone's going to look, which makes it even harder for Mike Brown to game plan for this New York Knicks team. So there are plenty of reasons why this Knicks team doesn't look amazing right out of the box. And so what? We've only played 4 games, making overarching fortunes, just telling what's going to happen in the future. The Knicks are not contenders or not contenders after 4 games. No one could tell that. Just the same way that, the guys at the top of the East, there are still, I believe, 2 undefeated teams in the Eastern Conference. That doesn't make them the best 2 teams in the Eastern Conference. The season just started. There are 82 games. Let's watch to see how the rest of it works out. But that's what I got for this video. So if you stuck around this long, thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and go Knicks.